A Thousand Splendid Suns is a novel written by Khaled Hosseini, the famed author of The Kite Runner. I haven't read The Kite Runner just yet, but I did catch most of the movie. Whereas he focused on male relationships in that work, Hosseini's focus in Splendid Suns is on two women instead, and their time living in Afghanistan during the country's turbulent time in the 20th century. Long after the story was set and the book even published, the Afghan people would still not find peace, having to endure a 20-year occupation by Western forces and then being overtaken by the Taliban for a second time, which is where we are at now at the time of the making of this review in 2021. A Thousand Splendid Suns tells an intimate, emotional and deeply saddening story of two women and the unlikely friendship that sparks between them. Very cleverly, as we go through the story of these two women, Hosseini also tells us the story of the history of modern Afghanistan. The history and the politics of the country is the backdrop of the story, and is the undercurrent tale being told, as Afghanistan switches hands from the likes of the communists, the Mujahideen and the Taliban, with constant warfare and instability making life unbearable for the common folk. So we follow Mariam, a 15-year-old girl who lives in a poor shack with her unbalanced mother. Mariam's mother was a servant in her father's house who her father slept with, and what with the shame this caused, her rich father chose to house the mother and child away from the family. Growing up dreaming of playing with her half-brothers and sisters and always awaiting despairing visits from her father, Mariam's world is turned upside down after her mother hangs herself, and when she is sent to live with her father, along with his wives who are none too pleased with the arrangement, Mariam is forced to move to Kabul and marry Rasheed, a man several decades older than her. Her new life is strange and crazy, and Rasheed is a very hard man, though in the beginning there is a sweetness to the duo's relationship. He does have softness with her, and she develops an appreciation for the things he does for her. You feel for Mariam, you want her to succeed and be happy, especially as she's been through so much already. But the relationship between her and Rasheed sours after Mariam experiences one miscarriage after another. Years go by, with the couple now being nothing more than Rasheed coming home from a day of work or with his friends and beating Mariam for perhaps the tea being too cold or the kitchen not tidy enough. She lives in a constant state of fear and anxiety. The years go on, and the story focuses on a new young lady, Laila, born about 20 years after Mariam, who lives a good life in an educated household with her parents, and she is in love with a young man named Tariq, even succumbing to her desires and sleeping with him at one point. But tragedy strikes when Tariq leaves Kabul due to the city being under constant rocket fire, and when Layla's family also makes the saddening decision of having to leave their home, a bomb hits which takes out both of Layla's parents. She is found in the rubble by Rasheed, who takes her to his home and slowly courts her, eventually telling a devastated Mariam to ask for Layla's hand in marriage, and Layla, who has just realized she is pregnant with Tariq's child, instantly accepts for her and her child's safety. Over time, the two women in the household learn to live with each other and eventually become inseparable, with both having to bear the brunt of Rasheed's moods, a man who over the years has become increasingly narcissistic, abusive and selfish to the point where it seems he's become a mentally unstable psychopath. I won't give anything else away. In fact, I might have said too much already, but that's the basic setup of the story, with the duo of women having to survive Rasheed's abuse, with the harsh and unstable outside world being just as inhospitable, with Kabul constantly in a state of bombardment and controlled by warlords and various tribes and warriors, funded by the Western world, I might add, in many cases. A Thousand Splendid Suns is one of the most heart-wrenching and emotionally devastating books I've ever read. It's so powerful, so sad that I delayed reviewing this for so long, and I couldn't even bring myself to tell my wife the second half of the story after having told her the first. It actually depressed me. I couldn't stop thinking about it for days, and going back to review it brought back so many overwhelming feelings. The way Hosseini is able to convey the journey of these two women, the grief, the darkness and pain, but lacking in melodrama and self-pity. Minute, private and intimate thoughts and secrets are shared, to such an extent that two women really feel like real people, and it's told in such rich and beautiful fashion. Hosseini has this amazing ability to pick you up and place you right in the city, in the town, the very kitchen where Rasheed is laying another beating on Mariam, with Laila desperately trying to pull him off. There's a morbid atmosphere in the book, one that you can taste with your teeth and you can't shake off, a reminder of just how good you have it. When there are people who go through the incredible things that occur in this book, and even then there is a spark of hope after a daunting experience, a testament of the human spirit and the strength of two women who just want to live in peace. There are so many passages in the novel which are so rich, you can almost taste the sweetness and intimacy of the words. A Thousand Splendid Suns is a draining tragedy, a novel that is actually painful to read, a true heartbreaking tearjerker. There are parts that are really difficult to read, as those who've experienced unstable households, domestic abuse, or even lived in war-torn places will feel some passages just hit too close to home. An incredible work.